Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this year's Cato Kancha. Today we are having Chado, the Way of Tea demonstration, narrated and directed by Ann Abe, a member of our parish. Just a little reminder before we begin. The honorees will be served tea by the Tankikai Urasenke group immediately after the tea ceremony. During this time, all guests will be served their obento lunch plates. Please do not begin eating until all the honorees are served their bento and after Father Doan says grace. If tables need refills on mugicha or hot water, please raise your hand and one of the volunteers will refill the containers for you. But please, not during the tea ceremony. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Ann Abe.
Welcome and congratulations to our honorees today. Today we're going to do something different than our previous Keiro no Hi, where we had entertainment. We're going to be doing a Chado tea ceremony or way of tea for you today. Now, many of you probably already had your coffee and donuts, and they always say there's nothing like a good cup of coffee. Well, today we're going to show you something different. And for our honorees, we'll be serving matcha. And it's not the matcha latte at Starbucks, but this is the real thing, okay? So we'll be serving you. So Chado is really, I think many of you have seen it before. It's very slow-moving, deliberate, sometimes maybe boring. You kind of wanted to just get over it with it and have your tea. But our 16th generation grandmaster said, and his name is Zabosai Soshitsu, Chado, from the very first, has been a moral path by which we can learn what is of real importance for human beings and how we should live life. It's spiritual, it's aesthetic, and it's a discipline to refine yourself. And we seek this through the principles that are taught to us, and it's wa, kei, sei, jaku. And what that means is really basically harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. So it's not divided by anything. Everyone should be practicing this, and that's why we take lessons to try to achieve that. Chado, the reason why I like it, I'm a sansei, is because it really encompasses everything Japanese. And I love Japanese culture, and I love Japanese art. You can see the setup today. The most important thing in a tea room is the thing called tokonoma, or alcove. You'll see there's a scroll, or we have a little placard there with Japanese writing. So you have to learn about calligraphy when you take tea. What that says is furo, seinen no. I'm sorry, my Japanese isn't that great. Seinen no midori. And what that means is ageless and 1,000 years of green, meaning the pine tree. So again, what we wanted to do is to do something that defines the theme today. So it'll change, so we don't do the same thing at every tea ceremony. The flowers, we have to learn a little bit about flower arranging, but it's not your ikebana. It's very natural. So, as a matter of fact, this morning, went to my garden and picked what I had in the heat. What we had was Japanese hibiscus and the purple grass. And it's supposed to look like a field of flowers. If you move over, we also have to study about ceramics. So you can see the water vessel and the bowl. Again, fitting with the theme, it is the fall, even though it doesn't feel like it. We have the water vessel with the chrysanthemum on it. Okay. The tea bowl has bamboo. The tea caddy has pine. The kama, with the holds the hot water, also has a matsu or pine on it. What we're trying to do is, I think you've seen it New Year's, sho chikubai, meaning pine. It means also we have the bamboo, and then we have the plum blossoms. And our plum blossoms, how we represented it here is we gave a poetic name to the tea scoop of early, or the first blossoms. Okay. So you can see how we use that theme again to celebrate our 80-year-olds plus. Okay. Now, you think that the other thing that we learn is about Zen philosophy. We talked a little bit about wake seijaku, but also what's interesting for all of us here is to know that the first written documents about tea ceremony was the Portuguese missionaries. That is the first document that they knew that there was something going on, and they said about the tea ceremony. Now, it's questionable, what came first, but watch the movements of the hostess, okay? It's very respectful, like you see the priest during the Mass. How they hold the chalice in respect, we will hold the tea bowl in respect. How they wipe the utensils, how we wipe the bowl with a white cloth, just like Father wipes the chalice. So there's some similarities to the Catholic Mass with the tea ceremony. The other principle that we teach is about how this is a one-time meeting. We will never, ever be in the same place or be with each other again. So we need to appreciate every day, every moment, like today. So we're going to get going with the tea ceremony. So Madam Atsuko Biel, I think all of you know Biel Sensei, she's going to be our first guest, Shokyaku. So she enters. And out of respect, she goes to the tokonoma or alcove and examines what is written and also looks at the flower arrangement. Once she is seated, then we have the start of the ceremony, where the helper, or hanto, will bring out the sweets for her. So in learning about Japanese culture, the other thing we learn is how to dress ourselves. And it's very seasonal. So again, that's something that we've learned taking tea. You see the bowing, there's a lot of bowing and greeting. And again, it's the respect and politeness that you see in Japanese culture. Besides Biel Sensei that we have here that's part of our parish, we also have Yasuda Sensei, who has been a longtime member of our organization. So she's going to be our second guest. And although everything is clean, it's again showing respect to our guests that we're going to purify all the utensils that we're going to use. So right now, the guests, during this tea ceremony, it's called usucha, or the thin tea. There is a thick tea, but it's a longer ceremony for that. And so in this process, there can be discussion or conversation between the guest and the host. So what was asked was about the kama, or the tea kettle. And it was answered that it does have the matsu on it, and who the maker of that kettle was. Normally, we would be in a tea room, sitting on the floor, but this type of setting, misonodana, was presented in 1872 by one of our grandmasters, and it was for the Kyoto exhibition. And because it was done for foreigners, and they knew that foreigners could not sit on the floor, they developed this style where you could see the tea ceremony sitting in a chair. And the black lacquer table that you see is specific to the school of Urasenke. And that was developed in 1952. So she's checking the tines just to make sure nothing is broken. Also, hot water was put into that bowl to heat the bowl up so that when you put the tea in, it'll be a hot bowl. Now, all of you who've had matcha know that it's very bitter. So the timing of the hostess with the guests is she just told her, please have your sweets. So that that sweetness lingers in your mouth, so that when you drink the bitterness of the tea, it really sweetens the tea. So again, the guests asked about the ceramics, about the water vessel, who made it and what it is. So she just mentioned that it has the kiku on it. It also has water on it. So it can be used for all the seasons. So she politely told the second guest, I'm going to go before you. And then thank you for the tea to the hostess. And she just asked about who the tea was from, and that is from Shohaku, and it's also from Koyama-en from Japan. So there's really a lot of emphasis put on the ceramics, who the maker was on all of these things, and asking about it, because there's such a deep appreciation. And also, it's in history. As you probably saw in Shogun, there was a little piece about the samurai. It mainly started with men. And they had a small tatami room, and you would enter through like a very small opening, because you would have to kind of bow to go in. You would leave your swords outside. And so, again, these utensils that are used were actually given by the lords to the samurai when they won a battle. And they would come from China or Korea. So they were really of high value. So if you notice the way they handle the bowls, it's like we treat them as if they were very valuable pieces. So tea was introduced in about the 8th century from China and brought over by the monks. And they knew far more than what we know now, because they did it for medicinal purposes, and now we know it's full of antioxidants. And then also because of the drowsiness effect, or lack, it doesn't cause drowsiness, the caffeine. So like regular coffee, you get an instant high. But with matcha, it's kind of a steady, kind of a lingering high. And they needed that in order to pray during the night. So when I have tea class in the evenings, I cannot sleep. You'll have an opportunity to look at the utensils, but the bowl that was used by Yasuda Sensei is a famous Kyoto design of otafuku, or funny girl face. And on it, it says 100 good luck. So again, going with the theme of today. And in line with longevity, our grandmaster who wrote Seinen no Midori, the little piece up there, it was to celebrate his 100th birthday. He's now 101, and he stands tall and does lectures and does tea ceremony. So there must be something with tea and aging. So during a tea ceremony, it's usually customary for the guest to ask to examine and to take a look at the tea caddy as well as the tea scoop. So the hostess will clean it again for presentation to the guest. Normally, if you're in a tea room, they give you the items to look at, but because she's in a chair, it's kind of difficult for her to really examine. So she said that afterwards you could take a look at it. So what was explained was who the maker of the natsume or the tea caddy was. It's Shiogama, and again, as mentioned, it does have the pine on it. And then the chashaku or the tea scoop, who made that because it is hand carved, and who the maker is. So it's very respectful of the makers. And then lastly, the hostess wanted to say that again, these items were selected in order to really celebrate today, being Keiro no Hi. So our hostess today was Miki Gil-san, Soyu Gil. Our helper was, again, we have Miyuki Souketsu Gutierrez. Again, we already introduced Bill Sensei. Thank you very much as a shiokaku. And then Yasuda Sensei was our jikaku or second guest. We do have helpers in the back that are madly making the tea for all of you. So please go ahead and have your sweets for all of you that have a suite in front of you, because again, the timing of it is, it's just kind of linger a little bit before we serve you your tea. Okay? So thank you very much for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and enjoy the tea.
You could go on the stage, put it on the stage and pass it out. Just get 6 of them, pass it